Welcome back to the Charged Up podcast. I'm Simon Wray.
And I'm Justin Canning.
So today, Justin, I think we should talk about MCS.
Okay.
What is it?
The Micro Generation Certificate Scheme. Yeah, so it's a quality control mechanism, isn't it? It's been around since 2009, and it's about protecting the consumer in terms of quality. The manufacturers, be it panels, the mounting systems. So there's various different sort of elements to it, but essentially it's all about protecting the government's money that was the feed-in tariff.
Right, okay.
Back then.
So why did government feel that it was important to set up a scheme like that?
Well, I guess they were giving away a lot of money, weren't they? They were spending a lot of money. And it was a scheme that was originally, once you installed a system, you would get payments for 25 years.
So this is the feed-in tariff scheme was a government incentive for early adoption for solar.
Yes, yeah. There were other elements to it in terms of solar thermal,
right?
In terms of biomass originally, but that came slightly under a different scheme called the renewable heat incentive, anything to do with heat generation. But MCS, if we can abbreviate to that, was there to provide an incentive to the consumer to say, if you do this, you spend this money, you get this money back. You get this money back because you get paid for the energy that your system generates. So it's not about consumption. So it's a different profile to what we've got these days. Back then, it was about what's your system going to generate.
Because there were quite generous subsidies or payments being made, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they had to be initially, and they certainly had an original intention to reduce it, but they weren't quick enough. They couldn't keep up with the market. The cost of panels came down so quickly in that sort of first 2-year period, 2010, 2011, that the government couldn't keep up. Because they move much slowly with these things, and it was a difficult moment for them because the market was charging. There's all these new installers in the market, all these products coming into the market. But essentially, the MCS is about protecting the government subsidy for the consumer as well as for the government purse, I suppose.
So was MCS in place right at the start of the feed-in tariff, or was it something introduced to when they realised that they had to manage quality?
Do you know what? I'm not sure the exact timing, which one came first, but I think they recognised that you need a subsidy, and they've called that the feed-in tariff. I think it was the Labour government that came up with it originally, so around 2009. And I suppose off the back of previous schemes, they recognised they needed some kind of protection for the goods, the quality that come in, because we couldn't meet that with our own supply chain. So goods were coming in from all over Europe, all over the world, and they were coming in at such a rate that the consumption around the world was enabling manufacturers to bring down their cost of production, which meant
it worked, subsidising it to accelerate a market.
Yeah,
proven model.
Yeah, absolutely.
So MCS, in my understanding, is it's a quality assurance scheme that manufacturers have to enter into.
That's it. Yeah,
it covers panels, mounting systems.
Yeah,
but strangely doesn't cover the inverter.
No, so inverters come under, because they're connected to the grid. The DNO, or the distribution network operator, has a scheme where it's essentially you have to apply to attach that device, that grid tied device, to the grid, and the G98, G99.
Yeah,
we'll get into that in another episode. There's a lot there to dig into, but essentially, solar panels go through an auditing process at the factory. So anyone who's manufacturing a panel that wants an MCS badge has their factory audited wherever they are in the world. And there'll be people who carry out those tasks positioned in the different countries. So that's how you get the MCS for the panel, as well as all the paperwork and all the the sort of auditing and stuff. For the mounting system, slightly different in terms of they have to have in situ, tests to manage or look at the structure. So you've got lots of different roof hooks required to attach to a roof, depending on whether you're going to a rafter, you're going to metal, all kinds of different roofs that are out there, all need testing physically. And then you've also obviously got in roof as opposed to on roof.
Yep.
Yeah. So
but there's such a varied range of brands and clamps and hooks.
Yes,
and
there is
panels and backing boards.
Yeah.
So I could understand why they would need some quality assurance that it's fit for purpose. I was quite surprised because I was, when I first heard about MCS, I was totally thought it was all about technology.
Yeah.
And really not about, angular pieces of metal and clamps. But it would
Yeah.
make sense that it's a system. And so they're mainly interested in what's happening on the roof.
Yes. Yeah, there's a test centre down in Watford, BRE. BRE? I forget what it stands for. Building Research.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. We'll fill that one in.
Yeah.
So they have a test centre there, and there's a few other places as well, I'm sure. But they obviously need to, make sure that the mechanical strength of these devices that are being sold are up to the task.
Yeah.
Because you've got to take into account, dynamic load, snow load, other loads.
Well, in the previous life, I've dealt with the BRE for fire testing.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with the the kind of accelerated tests that they carry out. So MCS then fundamentally is just it's a quality assurance badge that you don't need to dig any deeper to find out whether your product is any good if it's MCS approved.
Yeah.
Now MCS, as far as I understand, it's not a legal requirement.
That's it. Yeah.
However, it is kind of the de facto standard.
Yeah.
If you want to sell electricity back to the grid, you have to demonstrate to the network operator that the equipment that you've installed meets a standard, and MCS is used as that.
You need an MCS certificate, and to get that, you have to upload all the information of the panels, the products, the various elements that you've installed, that you've made use of in that install, and then you get your MCS certificate at the end of that process.
And the inverter has to be on another register, the ENA.
That's it, Energy Networks Association. Yeah, the type register. Yeah.
So is that also a quality tested database, or is it just a registration process?
Pass.
Okay, well maybe we kind of
I mean, the separation obviously might be a bit confusing to consumers. I can understand why the DNO have to have a say, the distribution network operator have to have a say in what's connected to the grid. But it's probably worth exploring that a bit more. Actually, what does the product have to go through to get onto that register?
It feels a bit fragmented that you would
a little bit,
you deal with the roof stuff, but not the stuff that's in a.
Well, and particularly these days, as obviously the roof installation element is important, but these days the inverter is far more visible and necessary to the smooth operation, where you've got batteries and solar working alongside each other through the same device in a hybrid inverter. And then you've got the car chargers being plugged into that, and power diverters for hot water.
It's the heart of everything.
It is, yes.
So
it's the ecosystem. So
it's quite be interesting to see where MCS goes and understand. Maybe we get somebody from MCS to explain why it stops where it stops.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as an industry, the scheme has been debated. People have looked into the whys and wherefores. There's an alternative scheme called the FlexiOrb, which provides a similar kind of profile for consumers, for installers, and for manufacturers. They probably piggyback a bit of the MCS approach in terms of auditing for the manufacturers, but they do have consumer protection for the consumers, for the purchasers of the systems. The strengths and weaknesses of each system, I'm not really an expert in that area, but I do know that a lot of people that provide smart export guarantee for export payments stipulate MCS.
It's
MCS payment.
It's
MCS
a brand
certification
name, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And so I think it's
Yeah.
It's interesting that there are options.
It's really expensive. I mean, for the manufacturers.
Well, this is it. I mean,
it's very expensive.
You have to go and be certified twice if you've got multiple schemes.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to understand why.
When they do an audit, you cover in a certificate an efficiency range on a panel, say, 60 cell panel, 100 cell panel, whatever it is. It will go onto a data sheet as ranging between 440 and 465, say, in terms of output. If you go on to a higher efficiency cell beyond that, and you need a new data sheet in effect, you have to go through a new process. So every year they're updating their MCS database with higher efficiency. So when you go onto the MCS portal, you see the hundreds of different types. Historically, going back 15 years now, all those different types of modules are still up there.
Yeah, the
120 watt modules are there. From back in the day.
It can be a bit unfathomable. I think they need to.
Yeah, there needs to be
I've been on that database.
An IT.
It's not a pleasant experience.
Update on that. Yeah.
No, interesting. But yeah, I'm not sure why we need a multi scheme if it's government backed. Why does anyone want an alternative? But it's not a legal requirement, so you can install a system without it. But what would be the drawbacks of doing that?
The main one is not getting export payments these days. You wouldn't qualify, as far as I know, through most utilities. They don't provide a scheme.
Yeah,
I think
Octopus,
you mentioned something about Octopus.
Yeah, Octopus will let you. You can go through that without an MCS certificate. You have to pay them £250 and send them all the information, and then they'll make an evaluation. But
so you get to self-assess and send them some cash.
I haven't done the process, but you pay for them to do a specific evaluation of your
right. So you're paying for their time to assess your system.
So it's more the case that it's not an MCS. It might have been installed by a non-MCS accredited installer.
Yeah,
and actually we might need to talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
So we've talked about MCS from a hardware point of view.
Yeah.
But that just reminds me, the requirement is that you have to have a certificate from an installer who is MCS accredited.
Yeah.
So what do you know about that side of things?
Well, not every installation, certainly at the commercial scale, requires it.
Mm-hmm.
Not every installer out there.
Over 50 kWp?
That's it, over 50 kilowatts. So not every installer out there that's connecting systems to the grid is necessarily MCS. It is possible to do a system. It's
just for the domestic. System. It's domestic and small commercial installations up to 50.
Yeah, there's a grey area there. In terms of what level of solar design does an electrician have in terms of his experience, his expertise. And designing a system that meets the load, the consumption profile, the battery requirement. How experienced are they in actually bringing all those components together? MCS doesn't necessarily give you that experience, off the bat, but you have to have been trading for a minimum of 2 years to get MCS, and you're obviously a solar-focused installation company if you've got MCS. So it does, help, I think, in terms of understanding who knows what they're talking about and who is just able to connect.
I mean, it's a multi-trade. It's solar, isn't it? It's a roofing and groundworks and electrician plus solar expertise as well. So I can understand why you would have that. But it's not just the manufacturers that have to follow the rules. I
guess it's not a unique kind of setup in an industry, is it? I mean, there must be similar kind of models outside of solar.
Having an audited process, I think, gives it a robustness.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not sure about FlexiHub of what happens on the installer side of things. I know for us it gives us a bit of peace of mind, even if we don't do a lot of sub 50 kilowatt peak systems. Knowing that you're following an approved process and that you've got mechanisms in place.
Well, as a takeaway, maybe we should look at the number of flexi-orb registrations that
I think we need to dig into a bit, because if
growing?
we're overlooking it,
exactly.
because we've just defaulted to MCS, maybe that's something to dig into.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mentioning MCS as the default, I know when selling houses, because solicitors are not fully aware of what it is, the standard questionnaire now is, do you have an MCS cert?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And if you're selling a house that's had panels on for a long time, it could be that you don't.
Yeah.
Because it's not a legal requirement, your builder could have put them on.
Could be an awkward conversation at some point, couldn't it?
Well, you've then got to then deal with waivers and things like that, insurance products to cover it. But I think the maturity level within the industry is still really low. I think we've still got work to do to educate. As I've mentioned in previous podcasts, I think insurers just need to understand what it is. Yeah. What are the risks? Yeah. I think conveyancers and solicitors need to understand what it is, because the default set of questions is just we don't understand it, therefore.
Is that reasonable though? Is it reasonable for those kinds of professionals to have that level of knowledge? It's a bit of a tricky one, that, isn't it?
I think there's better quality questions that they could ask.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Because it could be professionally installed.
Yeah.
But it might not be MCS.
Yeah.
Accredited.
Yeah. And
it's understanding if it's just a way of saying, oh well, you haven't got the certification.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be really interesting to see how many deals fall through because installations aren't certified.
Yeah.
Or whether it's just a non-issue now and it's just a box ticking exercise.
Yeah. I think when you get to a certain level of expenditure or capex, certainly from a commercial point of view, the MCS element to that, it becomes less and less significant in terms of the importance of the decision-making process you're going through.
Yeah.
Return on investment, your installation partner, their credibility, their longevity, etc. All of those. When you start talking about £500,000 capex decisions, you're at a point where that's one of a lot of decisions that you need to make about whether or not to proceed with this installation. For a consumer, for a homeowner, it's obviously right up there, isn't it, in terms of importance?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I think we can talk about solar and whether it's worth it in another podcast.
Does it work?
Does it work in the UK? Yeah, I mean, I think people would be interested in understanding the numbers and
that
the
question
economics.
Has evolved over the years. So
yeah. Well, actually, I think we should put a bit of effort in and getting some graphics together and maybe have a chat about that.
Yeah.
You've mentioned G98, G99.
Yeah.
So it's not related to MCS. MCS is its own thing. It's a quality standard.
Yeah.
That people can trust. If you as long as you verify that people are actually MCS accredited.
Yeah.
And the equipment is MCS accredited.
Yeah.
Rather than just somebody saying they are.
Yeah.
Then it's a quality mark that you can trust, and you don't need to dig any deeper into.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to hire a roofer to do a project on your roof, are they a member of a trade association? That's a good starting point, isn't it? To be a member of a trade association, there's a certain number of tick boxes you've got to fulfill. There's a criteria, isn't there? So
absolutely.
Same with solar installers, and MCS is certainly right up there in terms of level of importance. Yeah.
Good. Well, I think that would be helpful to our listeners and viewers, understanding that what MCS is, because it's definitely a term that gets bandied around a lot, and I'm not convinced it's absolutely clear what it is. Hopefully, we've helped demystify that. So
you never know; someone might have taken something useful from that.
Possibly so. Well, thanks very much, Justin. It's great to see you. All the best.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.